Election Day less than a week away, more than 2.75 million New Jerseyans have already cast their votes. It's a number Governor Phil Murphy is proud to tweet about. However, the state's rising COVID-19 cases are certainly sobering. So Governor Phil Murphy joining me live this morning with an update. So good morning to you, Governor. Thank you for once again making the time for the Pix 11 Morning News. Do appreciate it.
Nice to be with you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, sir, it's been about a week since two of your aides tested positive. You and First Lady Tammy Murphy continue to test negative here. I want to get to some of these numbers because since September, the number of COVID-19 cases have been increasing. Yesterday, you said that the rate was 1.6 for new positive cases, a cumulative total of more than 231,000 cases. How serious of a situation is this? And let me ask you point blank, could New Jersey see another shutdown?
I sure hope not on the second of your questions, but on the first, it's serious. There's no question about it. And it's really migrated from hotspots in particular communities or in higher education. Now it's pretty much up and down the state. The big metro New York counties have the most cases. That's what it looked like in the spring. Thank God the numbers are not remotely like they were in the spring. The rate of transmission is higher than we'd like, but it's a far cry from how bad it got. Our positivity rate is higher than we'd like for sure, but again, not remotely what it was like in the spring. But we're concerned, Dan, there's no question. And I think importantly, a lot of this is happening in private homes,
right,
beyond the ability to regulate, to enforce compliance. And that's where we just got to appeal to folks to fight through the fatigue and make sure they're not letting their hair down here.
Yeah, for example, Hoboken, they're having issues with house parties as well. But the Newark mayor, BARAKA, he's imposed some new restrictions for the city in response to the uptick. He wants to have a curfew. Paterson now doing so as well. Hoboken, like I just mentioned, expected to vote on it. So where are your thoughts on what exactly these individual cities are doing to curtail the numbers?
I mean, Mayor BARAKA is one of the great leaders in our state, if not the country, and Newark got crushed over the past week, particularly in the east and north wards. The state executive orders are still the operating executive orders, and so we'll use the same playbook that we used in Lakewood a couple of weeks ago in Newark and in other communities, plussing up, surging testing, tracing, using the bullhorn, including in languages other than English, so for instance Portuguese in the East Ward of Newark, and also cranking up compliance and enforcement. And so that's the playbook we used in Lakewood. It feels like it worked. We worked with the community. We're doing the same in Newark, and we'll do it elsewhere in the state as needed.
And I don't mean to hammer home the question here, but how bad of a situation would it need to get statewide then for the state to take similar action? I know you're saying it's not as bad as the spring, but the numbers aren't good.
The numbers aren't good, Dan. They're not good anywhere in America. And we entered this, as Dr. Fauci reminded me a couple of weeks ago, we entered this surge in a very strong position, which is a good thing. We have a lot more knowledge of the virus than we did in the spring. We have a lot more capacities. The demographics have shifted toward a younger population. Those are all good things. Having said that, to your very good question, we keep all options on the table. I continue to think it's more likely scalpel community-focused surging of capacities and enforcement, but we have to leave all options on the table.
And I want to talk about the vaccine here because you had a very interesting vaccine plan to get 70% of adults vaccinated once there is a vaccine. But I want to ask you this because last year, just doing some research, only 50% of New Jerseyans got vaccinated for the flu. Do you expect it to be a problem convincing people to get the COVID-19 vaccine once it is released?
Yeah, it won't be easy. I mean, there's a very vocal, well-organized minority in our state, as there is in every American state, that's gone anti-vax. You had the president injecting politics into the vaccine development. It's going to be a challenge, and we're not waiting for a vaccine, by the way, to take on that challenge.
Right.
We're going to use our megaphone, our community engagement, and remind folks how important this is. I'm actually very not just comfortable and pleased, but I think we've got a really good plan. We just got to get this thing executed, and as you suggest, it won't be easy, but it is essential.
You know, the other big story that we're following very closely, of course, is the election, sir. So I want to pivot to that right now. As Election Day approaches, more than 2.75 million New Jerseyans have already voted. I want to get to what happened during the primaries, because they were strictly mail-in ballots, right? And there were quite a few issues, such as people not getting ballots, votes not getting counted. What did you learn from that to anticipate for this election day and this where we are right now?
Yeah, even since overnight, it's now up to 2.8 million. It's over 70% of the entire vote total in 2016. So far, I'm knocking on wood, Dan, so far so good. You're absolutely right. We tried a similar model in the primary. It actually was a hybrid, so you did have the ability to vote in person. It worked quite well. Yeah. Again, any election is going to have stuff at the edges that you have to iron out, but it worked quite well. But we did learn some things. So in this case, we'll have more staffing. Yep. We'll have more machines. We allowed early count to begin last Saturday. We've allowed, you could mail your ballot in, drop it in a secure box. We have a lot more of those boxes in the state. Good. You can hand your ballot to your county clerk, hand it to a poll worker, or vote in person on election day.
And I want to ask you about...
So we think we've taken it and even made it stronger.
I want to ask you about in-person voting, right? We're seeing that actually happen in New York City for the first time. A record number of people now doing this early voting. Is it something that you would consider for New Jersey?
Oh, I want it. I think it's a black mark in our voting system that we don't have it already. I've been pounding the table on this since long before I became governor. I think you could do that very responsibly, even 30 days in advance, one location per county, do it in a very socially distanced way. You got to balance public health and the sacred right to vote here at every step. But I want it in New Jersey without question.
We're out of time here, sir. I do want to ask you about Halloween. It's a couple days away. Your wife, Tammy, participated in a safe program for kids, reading Halloween stories online. What's your message for folks as they want to get out there and trick-or-treat this weekend?
She says to say hi, by the way. Do it responsibly. Be careful, as you always have to be on Halloween, but follow our guidelines, which have a heavy dose of public health in addition to just personal safety.
Governor Phil Murphy, I thank you for your time this morning. I want to get your reaction to something. I don't know if you saw this new survey by Best Life magazine. I took real big issue with this, saying that New Jersey was the most hated state in America. Did you see this? Did you see the survey?
I did not.
It was
that's fake news.
Thank you very much. News. Thank you very much, sir. I have Jersey pride, soon to be, by the way.
I know.
Soon to be back in New Jersey as a resident full time. But I'm glad you said it was fake news. Population changes and state pride were the big issues for New Jerseyans. We got to up that state pride.
I think it's envy, Dan.
That's what it is, sir. I know. Thank you very much. Hey, Governor Phil Murphy, I got to say, you've been on our air a number of times. Always appreciate you coming on to talk about these important issues, especially now during the pandemic.
Always an honor for me to be with you. Thanks for having me.